Thank you for joining us, and I want to thank my distinguished colleague, Senator Durbin, the Majority Whip, for joining us and for his efforts that he's already led when we had credit card reform legislation, and so I appreciate his help in following on an area that we think is incredibly important, as well as Pam Banks, who's the Senior Policy Counsel for Consumers Union, a tremendous advocacy group for consumers in this country. This holiday season, it's not just the weather outside that many families will find frightful. Unexpecting consumers may consider using a prepaid card to buy gifts for families and friends, and what they might be surprised by after they purchase the card is the mountain of fees that accompany many of these cards. A few of the worst prepaid cards are laden with such absurd things and fees that you would think that the Grinch himself had devised them. Responsible consumers are finding out the hard way that the purchasing power of reloadable cards, usually branded with a familiar credit logo, like this one, MasterCard, for example, are used to make purchases and cash withdrawals, but it's much less than the dollar amount they loaded onto that card in the first place. So we believe that we must protect consumers from such predatory practices and eliminate the excessive fees that card companies hide in the fine print. And we must act soon because the use of these cards is exploding. It's estimated that between 2009 and 2012, the amount that American consumers load onto the so-called open loop, it means you continuously can use this prepaid card, will increase by $175 billion, or 383%. So today we're introducing legislation that will give consumers the power to avoid prepaid card hidden fees. We would eliminate egregious and surprise fees like overdraft fees, balance inquiry fees, customer service fees, and fees for inactivity and account closure. It would provide consumers with upfront disclosure of all fees before they purchase the card. And it would require companies to provide consumers with a wallet-sized card that shows all the fees. It would also protect consumers' money if prepaid cards are stolen, lost, or the card company goes bankrupt, something that right now is not a protection they have. Now, I know most people have heard of the Kardashian sisters, and they, to their credit, canceled the Kardashian card, which was a prepaid card with their pictures on it, because of its excessive predatory fees. After the sisters launched their card in November, the Connecticut Attorney General, now soon to be a United States Senator, Dick Blumenthal, investigated what he called, quote, predatory practices that included the option of a 6-month user fee of $60 or a 1-year fee of $100. There was also an upfront fee for purchasing the card of $10, a $5 minimum deposit, an $8 monthly fee after either the first 6 months or your first year for the duration of the card. If consumers cancel the card, they were charged an additional $6 cancellation fee. The fees alone would drain the value of the card, but that's not all. Card holders would have been charged $1.50 for withdrawing funds at an ATM in addition to the ATM surcharge that already exists. A $1 fee of the transaction was declined, an additional $1 fee just to check the card balance, and $1.50 to speak to a customer service representative. The Kardashian card would have also included a $10 replacement fee if the card was stolen. So with glitzy celebrity photos, card companies typically target younger and less financially sophisticated consumers without traditional checking accounts. These are people who can least afford high fees and would usually be better off with mainstream bank checking accounts. And the range of these prepaid cards is pretty extraordinary. For example, the Walmart Money Card charges an activation fee of $3, modest compared to what was going to be the Kardashian initial fees of $60 for 6 months or $100 for a year. On a typical prepaid card with a within a month or two, it's not unusual for consumers to have racked up more than $50 in fees before realizing what happened. And now that we have cracked down on bank overdraft fees, these prepaid cards are often more expensive than traditional bank accounts. Many of these fees are hidden, unreasonable, and I believe some should be illegal. Last year, we proudly helped lead the successful effort in Congress to protect consumers against unfair credit card tricks and traps. But some companies have found a creative way to continue predatory practices in the form of hidden prepaid card fees. Too many unsuspecting students and teens have been targeted with expensive prepaid cards like the Kardashian card. And once again, it's time to protect consumers from these egregious practices. If we don't act soon, the problem will grow as rapidly as the market for prepaid debit cards. As you can see, that market is already estimated about $427 billion. So this holiday season, we certainly want our consumers to be aware of prepaid card schemes that leave families with less money to enjoy the holidays. If you think about some of these fees, you load $100, you give that to your family member, and by the time the activation fee and the other fees are engaged, they could lose 10, 20% of their value before they ever got to the real purchase of a piece of product. That is simply pretty outrageous, and certainly the legislation that we'll introduce and hopefully pass in the new session of Congress will help us achieve that. Let me introduce